Hello and welcome once again to the Wrestling Group. I'm your host, as always, Ryan, and today we're going to be checking out WWE Clash in Paris. We're going to look a quick look at each of the matches, and then I will give you my predictions. And don't forget, as always, you can always drop your predictions in the comment section below, and we will see who has the better WWE knowledge. So of course, Clash in Paris starts today, and if you're like me and you're in the UK and you're watching live, it's going to be at 7 o'clock in the evening time, which is a hell of a lot better than 1 or 2 a.m. I always like it when WWE or AEW or any wrestling show does like the UK or in France, or to be honest with you, I know the quality pay-per-views aren't great in Saudi Arabia, but at least it's on at like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, right, let's get into it. Let's have a look at the matches. We have 6 confirmed matches for WWE Clash in Paris, which is more than what they normally do, to be fair. So we'll start with the WWE Tag Team Championship match. So the Wyatt Six, which is Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis, take on the Street Profits, which is obviously Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. So to be honest with you, although the WWE tag divisions have never been like phenomenal, they've never been great, but they've had bursts and they've had times where they've had so many tag teams at any one time that have been really good, and they've put some focus on it. And when WWE started signing wrestlers again, I thought this is the time for them to put the emphasis on the tag division, especially SmackDown's tag division. You know, obviously Motor City Machine Guns come in, and then they signed Penta, followed later by Ray Fenix, even though they've decided still to keep them apart, which I think is the wrong decision. I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. I love it. I think if it's done right, it can be some of the best stuff on the card. On the flip side, I don't see this being the case on this one, unfortunately. I've never really been a big fan of the Street Profits. And you know what? Loads of fans have seen a lot lately online, more so than normal, are pushing for Montez Ford to leave Street Profits and go out on his own. I do like Montez Ford. I think he's great. I do feel like he would be decent on his own, but is he going to get lost in the shuffle like a Carmelo Hayes type wrestler? But yeah, for this one, I'm going to say the Street Profits, the Wyatt Six retain. You know, I can't see them dropping. They retained it last time, didn't they, in the multi-team tag match? So I feel like if they were going to drop the belts, that was the ladder match, wasn't it? I feel like if they were going to drop the belts, it wouldn't just be in a one-on-one, if you like, because they want to keep the Wyatt Six strong. So yeah, I'm going for the Wyatts with that one. So we'll move on next to Sheamus versus Rusev in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. What the hell is a Donnybrook match? This could potentially be match of the night. You know, these two, I think it's just a DQ match, isn't it? A no DQ match, just like a street fight. Like I say, this could potentially be the match of the night. Sheamus is great. He's powerful. He has really good bangers, as he likes to say. You know, slugfests with the likes of Drew McIntyre and Gunther, people like that. And Rusev fits that category, doesn't he? You know, he's that brutal, hard smash mouth style wrestling as well. So I feel like this could potentially end up being the match of the night. You know, if they're given a decent amount of time, and it's not too focused on the street fight style of it. I think that's what it is. That's what I'm taking from it. Be like, I don't know, like Irish barrels and crap like that, is it? Wood barrels of Irish brandy and shillelaghs and stuff like that at ringside. So if they don't focus too much on the gimmicky style, I know I am a massive fan of hardcore and stuff, but I don't like gimmicky hardcore. So I feel like if these just go at it and do like the smash mouth strong style type wrestling, this could potentially be a match of the night. I'm going to go with Rusev on this one for the simple fact is I don't feel like a win before Sheamus does anything. We've seen Sheamus pick up some decent victories over the last 2 years, and it's gone nowhere. For whatever reason, he still won't put the Intercontinental Championship on him. So if they're not doing the one thing that he wants, then I don't understand what else it is they're going to do with him. Rusev obviously has been gaining momentum since his return from AEW. So I feel like Rusev gets the victory in this match. So we move on to the only women's match of the night, which is going to be for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship, which, to be fair, since that's come into effect and since Becky Lynch has held it, is featured on a lot more cards, on like pay-per-views and special events and stuff, a lot more than the Women's US. So really putting some emphasis around it, and obviously Becky Lynch holding it obviously propels it up to like the next level, doesn't it? You know, it was great that Lyra Valkyria managed to get it, because it gave her something. Give her like an achievement, you know, the first ever, something that can stick with her, you know, especially if these titles go on and end up having a decent history and don't just get forgot about in a couple of years. But Becky Lynch takes it to that like next level. She's obviously a heavyweight wrestler, isn't she? And at the moment, wrestling in the mid-card division. And then you've got Nikki Bella, you know, hasn't held a championship in WWE for years because obviously she's been gone for a long, long time after she had neck surgery and everything else, and then left and they had some issues. And then she returned, you know, the Royal Rumble. And I always thought that, to be honest with you, when Nikki returned, she would in fact be with Brie and they would go for the Women's Tag Team Championships. You know, they were probably one of the very first women's tag teams, really. But they were around well before the titles were created, so I always felt like the Bellas were always going to get that one run with the Women's Tag Championships, which they haven't done yet because obviously Brie hasn't returned yet. I feel like it's interesting. Do you know what? It's a matchup we haven't seen for a good few years. You know, the problem with the women's division is, especially near the top, it gets a bit stale quite often. So I feel like giving us a fresh matchup. Yes, it's a match we've seen before, but it's not been for a long time. And it's going to be for the Intercontinental Championship, obviously. So that match has never happened for that title before because the title hasn't been around that long. I feel like it's going to be decent enough. Well, Becky Lynch obviously is going to get the victory, probably making Nikki tap out. I can't see Nikki Bella becoming the Intercontinental Champion anytime soon. So then we move on next to Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed in the singles match. That is for Roman Reigns' shoes, I think, his trainers. So they've dubbed it as the Tribal Chief versus the Tribal Thief, which, to be honest, WWE does this and it gets annoying. You know, Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed, for me, is a decent match. It piques me interest. I'm interested. You know, Bronson, I think, was great in New Japan before he comes to WWE, and then he sort of languished a little bit, and then he started picking up momentum, got a bit injured, come back and, you know, aligned himself with Seth Rollins, which I think is great for him. Gives him consistent storyline, gives him consistent TV time. You know, it's definitely something that will help him in the long run. And then obviously you got Roman Reigns, you know, one of the biggest stars of the company right now and probably for the last 5 years. So, you know, it's a match that people would be interested in anyway. And then they've obviously revolved it around the storyline of Bronson Reed stealing Roman Reigns' shoes. Just throws back to Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk thing for the bracelet. You know, I feel like they just sort of mock fans, like, oh, you know, we don't have to put much thought into storylines. We'll just get any old crap over, which is very frustrating. But the match itself, again, if given time, should be pretty decent. Although I can't see Bronson going over Roman. Like, say, Roman is obviously one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in the company. Bronson's on his way up, but he's nowhere near the level of Roman Reigns. And obviously I think eventually we're going to get to Roman versus Seth Rollins once again. And to do that, obviously Roman's just going to go through Seth's lackeys, you know, Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker. We'll get through them before obviously he gets to Seth and the World Heavyweight Championship. So I'm going to put this down to a Roman Reigns victory. So speaking of the World Heavyweight Championship, we have a fatal four-way for the world title, we have main event Jey Uso, LA Knight, CM Punk, and Seth frickin' Rollins. So this is an interesting one for me. You've got LA Knight, who by all accounts fans have been saying for the past 2 years should have been a world champion or WWE champion in WWE by now. You know, he's been massively over with the fans. He's been selling merch probably faster than anyone. You know, the t-shirts have been some of the top selling t-shirts of the last 3 years. He's been massively over. He's so popular, you know. But WWE don't want to pull the trigger on him for some reason. And you've got Jey Uso, who obviously fans got right behind, you know, with the Yeto Mania and the big push for Jey Uso becoming a world champion, and then he won the world title, and then no one was happy with him being the world champion. So typical WWE fans, when they finally get something they want, they then go, I'm not interested in it anymore. You know what I mean? He's too gimmicky and blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but he's always been that way. When you were behind him, he was exactly the way he is now. And then you got CM Punk, who, you know, is old, and a lot of wrestlers have to carry him in matches now. He has one decent match every 6 or 7 showings. This multi-match for me suits him a lot more because he is old and he can dip in and out, and the focus can be on the other guys a lot more. And then you got Seth Rollins, and you know, I know a lot of people are bored and fed up with Seth being at the top and being a world champion, but if we're dead honest, Seth Rollins is probably the best right now in WWE in terms of in-ring ability. I don't think anyone else is up there. You know, AJ's obviously a lot older now, and he is slowing down. He's missing a step. You know, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's awful. He's not putting on crap matches and nothing. But, you know, his match time especially is a lot less. And he is starting to slow down. So if you're looking at like who can go at a fast pace at a high level for a long period of time, Seth Rollins is probably up there with maybe Finn Balor, even though WWE don't like to push Finn Balor. But Seth Rollins is one of the best, if not the best, in-ring performer in WWE right now. It's a hard one for me. You know, Fatal 4-Ways always brings the opportunity for, obviously, a surprise victory. I feel like it's very interesting that Seth Rollins is the only heel in this match. You know, with it being a Fatal 4-Way, usually you get 2 heels, two faces, especially give you a chance to have the 2 heels team up for a short period of time. But that's not the case with this one. It's 3 faces and the heel Seth Rollins. Obviously, Fatal 4-Way means there's no disqualification, means you can have outside shenanigans like a Bron Breakker or even Bronson Reed appear and interfere. You know, Paul Heyman can interfere. You know, Fatal 4-Way means, obviously, like say, no disqualification. So I feel like with this one, it's got to be Seth Rollins picks up the victory. I don't feel like CM Punk shouldn't be a world champion for me. I said that when he was in AEW, didn't need the world title. That has not changed. I don't feel like he needs the world title in WWE. Jey Uso, like say, fans were not interested in him being the world champion at all. And for me, LA Knight, I feel like he should have been WWE champion. And to be honest with you, I'd put LA Knight against Cody for the WWE Championship. That's what I'd do. I'd have LA Knight turn heel, you know, and go against Cody for the WWE. I don't know. I don't see him being the world champion. It sounds mad, doesn't it? I just feel like some championship designs suit wrestlers better. I feel like LA Knight suits the WWE Championship design. Same as Seth Rollins suits the World Heavyweight. But yeah, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins to win. Like I say, I eventually expect it to spin back around to Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the World Championship. So that leaves us with one match, and probably will be the main event, as it's John Cena versus Logan Paul. And this is just a singles match. It's not for a title or anything like that. Obviously, John Cena only has a couple of dates left. This is one of them. It's one match that apparently he wanted to work, which is obviously Logan Paul. He's now been wrestling for, is it about 2-3 years now? He said about 20, what did John Cena say? 25, is it? 25 matches has he had so far. You know, he's a good gymnastic wrestler. You know, he shows us some gymnastic moves. You know, some of the basics he doesn't quite get, but it's fine. You know, he's not someone that's going to wrestle 3 times a week, so you don't need some of the basics. And he always has like the high spot, doesn't he? So he'll jump off like the ring apron to the announce table, and that's how he does like the flippy side, like a jump and splash, or like a jump from the ring ropes, like where he did, I forget who it was against now in the Royal Rumble, was it like a Ricochet or someone a couple of years ago, where they'd done the springboard leap and hit each other at the same time. He always does like one moment, doesn't he, in the match that gets fans behind him and creates a spot for social media, which is obviously what WWE is all about now, is creating them spots for social media. And then you've got obviously John Cena, who has been recently the WWE champion, who was a heel and then randomly turned face again, so they sort of jibbed that to one side. But I mean, it makes sense if they wanted to go with this match for John Cena to be the face. It wouldn't have worked for John Cena to be the heel and Logan Paul to be the face. I don't think Logan Paul's ever going to be able to be a face in WWE. And obviously, heel versus heel just doesn't work as well, especially with two people that can talk on the microphone. So for this one, do you know what? I'm going to go John Cena. I don't see Cena losing to Logan Paul, because I don't think Logan Paul's been done up enough. I feel like a win over John Cena catapults him into the WWE Championship picture, and I don't feel like Logan Paul's anywhere near that storyline wise, not even in ring wise, because we've seen him face for the WWE title before. I just feel like storyline wise, he's nowhere near that, and I feel like just a win over John Cena to catapult you there would be a bit weird. So I fully expect a John Cena win in this match. So there you have it. That is our 6 matches, and that is my predictions. Like I say, feel free to let me know your predictions. Make sure you drop them in the comment section below, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe to the Wrestling Group today.